note. The men's football team spat away a 28 lead. Literally, they spat on the opponent. It was their third loss of the season, and it's their third time blowing a double-digit lead. Now, guys, let's be positive today. It's Thanksgiving, the season of thanks. So let's be grateful for our men's basketball team. They are off to a 4-0 start, champions of the Rainbow Classic title out in Hawaii this past weekend. I want to welcome in Derek and Van to the desk. Now, guys, obviously a lot of positivity with this men's basketball team. What have you seen so far in the year?
So far, I feel like the men's basketball team is on the right track. I mean, last year they finished with the College Invitational Tournament win. You know, that was a good win. They were 20 and 18 overall in the season. That can be improved on, obviously, this year. But one of the bright spots that I feel early on this year is freshman Umaje Gibson. He's their leading scorer. He dropped 32 against Angelo State in the Rainbow Invitational Tournament and then dropped another 27 against Hublot.
Oh, yeah. He's been playing. He's been balling right now. And I kind of want to highlight DJ Draper because he is shooting the three-point shot lights out right now. Right now, he is at 56% from three. Now, on average, you can get about, 40% is really good. Yeah. 40% is great. 56%, making over half of his threes, that's great. And if they keep shooting like this, when the three-point line opens up, it therefore spaces the entire court, giving guys lots of driving lanes and easy buckets.
And this team, they're not winning these games close. 93-48 in the first round, 68-51 in the final versus Hawaii. They beat Angelo State 89-55. They did have the close one versus Portland, a 5-point win, but an average margin right now of 82-56 in these games. What does that say about this team, that they're fully dominating these opponents?
The 56 points a game says that your team defense is really on point right now. I mean, the team is playing well, you're communicating well, everybody's getting to their spots, and we're not leaving a lot of open shots. But I mean, as far as our field goal percentage, though, I feel like we're shooting a very high percentage, and if that percentage stays that way, it'll be very hard for other opposing defenses to get a key on us.
Oh yeah, with the field goal percentages that we both touched on, I think we do have to take it with a grain of salt because it's early. Of course they're early.
Only 4 games.
Of course, but like you said, the defense, that stuff, that stays. Yeah. It can be replicated very
I feel like
easily.
the defense, it'll translate to the postseason tournaments.
Definitely, and that especially when you get a lot more film on people, the game starts to slow down, especially later in the year, in March and January, February, in that kind of area, then you can rely on that defensive side, on the defensive side of the court, and you can really lock down some people and win games.
Well, hopefully they lock down. They play Oklahoma, I think, on the 27th.
That'll
be exciting.
I got that one circled.
Last year we would have beaten Oklahoma if not for a guy named Trey Young.
I think the Oklahoma game would be the first big test to see what this team is really capable of.
It'd be exciting for sure. You touched on it a little bit earlier, the 20-win season last year. The CBI, it was their most wins in 7 years. Of course, 7 years ago, UNT basketball was coming off 5 straight 20-win seasons and 2 trips to the NCAA in that 5-year span. Do you guys think this men's program can get back to that level?
I think we're headed in the right direction. I mean, another solid season this year, and hopefully the recruiting gets a little better, and we'll probably see us making the NCAA tournament in a couple seasons.
Yeah, that's a big one. Recruiting, getting trailblazing, letting people know, like, hey, we're here too. There's Texas and Baylor, big schools, and that's all North Texas trying to find his way in the recruiting path, and that's going to be a big step building to the future.
We talked about Texas. The women's basketball team, led by head coach Jaylee Mitchell, took on former North Texas head coach Karen Aston. She spent 2012 up here in Denton before going down to the Longhorns. Now, Texas came in as 11th. It was Apprentice versus the former coach, Jaylee Mitchell versus Karen Aston. The women's team hung tough last night. 64-54 was the final. Just a 10-point loss. They had it cut down to about 4 late in the fourth quarter there. What did you guys see from the women's team last night?
From the women's team, I saw a lot of fight. I saw a lot of grit, a lot of determination. They were really trying to get things working against probably a better opponent in Texas. That's pretty much what you look for when you're playing a team that's better than you.
I saw that too, but I also saw that they got out-rebounded. What was it, like 31-61?
It was a big rebound margin.
It was a huge rebound margin. Now, okay, they're Texas. Okay, we'll give them that. But that has to be something that cannot happen. Now, in past games, they've out-rebounded opponents, but also University of Marion, Hardin, Baylor, and Mid-American Christian University.
Mid-American Christian.
Solid teams.
They're teams. They can shoot too. We can shoot.
They also play basketball.
Yes, they play basketball, but they'll play on a court. But I mean, come on, like that's not something that you really can compare when it comes to Texas, one of the bigger schools when it comes to college, comes to women's hoops, and they have to get the rebounding done. That's a huge part of it.
So this is the team Jaylee Mitchell first 2 years, 19 losses the first year, 19 again that second year, and then 17-14 last year. Just very quickly, do you guys think this team takes that next step, gets to maybe 20 wins this season?
I think they can take that next step. I mean, one thing they have to improve on is their field goal percentage. They're only shooting 39% this year, but if they get that sorted out, I think that we'll be on the right track.
20 wins?
Oh yeah, definitely, especially with their defense. Right now, they're second in the nation in points per game allowed. So I think they can get there.
Well, I cannot wait to see what both teams end up doing this season. How about this NFL season so far, though? NFL season mid-season awards next on Sports Zone.
Here, 40% of all food in the U.S. never gets eaten.
40%. That's almost half the food we produce.
Food waste is a serious problem. It impacts all of us.
And it's expensive. Your family is throwing $1,500 a year in the trash.
We're working hard to put food waste on the chopping block.
And you can do the same at home.
Learn how to cook it, store it, and share it.
Just don't waste it.
Go to savethefood.com.
Here we go. We're gonna go out there in the rain. Gonna get wet. All right, here we go. Go, okay, quick. Oh yeah, yes. So much fun. Mwah. We're getting so wet.
I'll never forget the day our landlord called and said, read your lease. No pets allowed. My owner tells him my dog ate the lease, but that didn't work. And now I'm stuck in a shelter. But this pit bull is ready for a new crib. I'm loving, loyal, and play well with others. So don't be intimidated by all my muscles, because the biggest one I have is my heart. That's right, I said it.
Hey, look, it's those guys. Are you good to drive?
I'm fine.
How many did you have?
I should be fine.
You should be.
Go and step out of the vehicle for me.
See ya, buddy. Good luck. So turns out, buzz driving and drunk driving, they're the same thing, and it costs around $10,000. So not worth it.
Well, it's been one of the more entertaining NFL seasons in recent memory so far. Here to give us their NFL mid-season awards is Ashley and Saji. Guys?
Thanks, Josh. And mid-season is here. I mean, that was so quick.
It's moving fast.
It is, and it's going to be really hard to give out awards, but we're going to have to. So I think we should start with Defensive Player of the Year. And for me, I'm actually picking Aaron Donald. I could go either way between a lot of players. I know even Byron Jones has even come up as one of the best cornerbacks in the league. But I'm sticking with Aaron Donald. I mean, he's the sack leader in the NFL with 12.5. I mean, he's clearly going to get a lot more. He's also, I mean, really close in tackle leaders among defensive linemen. And not to mention, I just feel that he's the heart and soul of the Rams defense, which is why so far he's my Defensive Player of the Year.
I'm going to go with Khalil Mack. The fact that John Gruden let him go might have been, he's done a lot of dumb things this year, but might have been the dumbest thing that he's done. So, I mean, he is over there at the Bears. He is absolutely loving it, and I think that he's really trying to prove that it was dumb that they let him go in the first place in Oakland. I'm sure he's happy he's with the Bears because they're terrible, but I mean, 7 sacks. He's got 20 solo tackles. He has been playing lights out from the moment he got traded.
Yeah, absolutely. He's been doing great. So, Ashley, who do you have for in terms of like Coach of the Year?
So Coach of the Year, I'm going to go with Andy Reid and his Chiefs. They have been
pretty good choice.
Unbelievable this year, honestly. And I mean, he has done so well, especially with Patrick Mahomes. I mean, the way that he used to throw the ball, and he's put him almost into an MVP candidate. He has taken a team that has some very good wide receivers, but they're very small, but he still runs their offense. Fantastic offensive line. He has been the one that's really impressed me this year.
I'm actually going to stick with the Rams here, and I'm actually going to pick Sean McVay. I mean, the 9-1 Rams, you've lost only one time. I mean, he's really good. I mean, look at that. He's winning. He is winning all the time. That is the face of a winner right there, but he's really just turned this team around. I mean, you always saw that even last year, they just somehow couldn't really get away from the Seahawks, even though the Seahawks weren't really the same. But I just feel that they've completely turned everything around, and they are probably the third best team in the NFL.
That's a Chiefs-Rams matchup coming up. Not in Mexico City, but it will be playing. I think it's in LA. I
still feel the Saints are just a tad better, but they are first in the NFC West. But Sean McVay's completely turned this thing around. He's even made, I mean, Jared Goff one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. So that's why I'm going to pick Sean McVay so far as Coach of the Year.
That's fair. All right. most disappointing team. We talked about the good people. Let's go to the bad one. Most disappointing team. Who you got?
I didn't want to talk about them, but I'm going to have to. I'm going to pick the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, you have such great talent around you. You finally get Amari Cooper. You thought that could turn that around, but you have that debacle in Tennessee. But even before that, you had that hard loss in overtime against the Houston Texans. You let DeAndre Hopkins get that really big run. That missed field goal against Washington. I mean, this offense is so on and off. I mean, at one point, this is the greatest offensive lineman in the NFL. Now it's just a shell of its former self. They are still in it. I'm not going to fully count them out yet, but 4-5, it's really disappointing for how good this defense is, how good this offense is.
That Eagles game, though.
That was a great game to watch.
Surprising. I did not expect any of that. For my most disappointing team so far, I'm going to go Jacksonville. Now, there are teams that have not done very good. Jacksonville is one of those, you know, I mean, they're 2-3 at home, 3-6 overall. They're not terrible, but my thing with Jacksonville is they were so bad for so long. They come in last year, surprise people, they win the AFC Championship, and you're thinking, okay, like, we're getting there, and they give their fans just enough hope to where they're going into the season thinking, okay, maybe they'll at least be like decent again, and then they completely have been terrible. Leonard Fournette's not playing, so that's another like factor in it. But Jacksonville has not been up to par, in my opinion.
I feel it might have been the Jalen Ramsey curse. I mean, ever since he made that whole hit list about, oh, who sucks, who's this, it's just been really turned everything around. Now, this is the big one. Who's your MVP?
MVP, I'm definitely going Patrick Mahomes. Patty has been unbelievable. I mean, I talked about Andy Reid being the best coach this year, in my opinion. I think that so far he's been the MVP. When you're coming in 31 touchdowns, I mean, the completion rate, 3,150 yards. This guy used to throw the football and it looked like he was throwing a baseball. Did not really look good. I mean, he was in his rookie season last year. And I think that the biggest thing with Andy Reid, too, was him getting rid of Alex Smith. People were like, what in the world are you doing for this? You know, he's in his sophomore season and he has just absolutely blown people away. The Chiefs are a good team.
Yeah, they absolutely are. But for my MVP, I'm going with a guy who finally deserves it. I'm picking Drew Brees.
That's very fair.
It just seems like it's a miracle season. I mean, he broke the all-time passing record. He's now second in touchdowns. I think eventually he might beat Peyton Manning unless he doesn't get hurt, knock on wood there. But look at this, 2,600 yards, 21 touchdowns to 1 interception. That is ridiculous. He has a QBR rating of 123.8. I mean, 77 completion rating. That's an NFL record.
Yeah.
He's really been doing everything. I don't think he has as much talent as Patrick Mahomes, which is why I feel like he's just been doing a lot better. But I think overall, that's my MVP. It could really go either way.
People have slept on Brees for so long. I can give him that for this year.
Yeah, absolutely. But that's going to be it for us for the midseason awards. But back to you, Josh.
Yeah, well, we're definitely thankful for all the talent in the NFL right now. It is the season of thanks, of course, with Thanksgiving just around the corner. We're going to share what else we're thankful for in the sports world. Next on Sports Zone.
Listen.
All it took was someone who would insist that I just try.
Suddenly, everything was turned around because they judge you.
You tell them, I don't need this.
No one is going to understand.
Unless they've been through it, how can they?
Then one day you realize.
You feel so hopeless.
I need help. I need help.
You feel so hopeless.
Then one day you realize.
Unless they've been through it, how can they understand?
I don't need this.
No one's going to judge you.
Suddenly everything was turned around because they insist that I just try.
All it took was someone who would just...
Listen.
Oh, emojis! I thought the conversation just got dumber.
Ugh, internet trolls, just ignore them.
I like you just the way you are.
I believe in you!
She's a hugger. Give her a squeeze.
Help up the hand!
Ah, there you go.
Thanks, mate.
You're killing it, Jane!
Is it pretty?
Daddy,
it's pretty.
Maybe I'll say it.
Well, the best holiday of the year is just a week away. Take that, Christmas. That's right, a day full of football, food, and naps will soon be upon us all. I want to welcome in Kyle and Garen to the desk. Now, guys, Thanksgiving is soon approaching. I'm so excited. What are you guys thankful for in the sports world? We'll start with you, Garen.
Well, I am thankful for the Dallas Stars. Thank goodness we have a team to cheer for that can actually make the playoffs. I mean, did y'all watch that hockey fight that happened just last night between Jamie Benn, Josh Anderson? Some pretty good haymakers thrown, Josh. I think you would have liked to watch that one. But also, they're fourth in the Western Conference, 9-7-2. And also, Jamie Benn and Tyler Seguin are just those two special guys that really have been the forgotten duo in Dallas. You know, they get hid behind some of the bigger duos, you know, Dennis Smith Jr. and Luka Doncic, and then there's obviously the 2-1-4 out there for the Cowboys. These two guys are one of the better players in the National Hockey League, and they've quietly become one of the better players.
It's great to have exciting hockey back in the Dallas area.
It's good to have a team that actually can make the playoffs.
Yeah, no, I'm sticking Mean Green. I'm just thankful for Mason Fine this year. Just this past week, he's now the Mean Green's all-time passing leader with 8,743 and more to come. I mean, it's not like that was the last game. It was a tough loss to Old Dominion, you know, going down 28 or coming up 28-0 and then going down 34-31. But Seth Luttrell has these guys playing really well. Mason Fine and Rico Bussey Jr. have been connecting all year, and Mason Fine's going 23 touchdowns to only 2 interceptions and a 63% passing rating. I'm gonna have to go with my guy Mason Fine.
To touch on Mason Fine, he's one of only 2 quarterbacks in the FBS to have thrown over 300 passes and only have 2 interceptions or less. That's him and Texas quarterback Sam Ehlinger. And also talk about this amazing team. They've had 3 losses by a combined 13 points. It's crazy. And if you add Sam Ehlinger in there, it's 6 losses by those 2 teams by 22 points. Sorry to steal. What do you think?
No, you're okay. You're okay. So I mentioned Luka Doncic, so that's going to be my next guy I'm thankful for. This guy has led the Mavs to a 5-8 record. Didn't get off to the best start, but now they're starting to pick it up tonight. I think tomorrow night they're going up against the Jazz and Donovan Mitchell. This guy is special. He's averaging 20 points per game as a rookie. You can't forget he did win MVP over there in the European League. But also, he's 17th in points in the West, behind Karl Anthony Towns. He also has the #1 rebounder in the NBA right now in DeAndre Jordan, and he makes the Mavs what we've always been waiting for, exciting to watch again. It's always been Dirk Nowitzki, don't get me wrong, he is still one heck of an exciting player to watch, but having Luka Doncic and Dennis Smith Jr. and DeAndre Jordan out there and Dirk's coming off the bench, pretty thankful for Luka Doncic.
Yeah, no, sticking with basketball, I'm just thankful for this men's basketball team so far, UNT. I mean, just got out of Hawaii and claimed that Rainbow Classic title, undefeated, 4-0. Ryan Wooldridge was the MVP of the Classic, had 12 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists in that game, played a whole 40 minutes on Sunday. So I'm just really thankful for this men's basketball team. I think Grant McCaslin has them playing really well. You got guys like Roosevelt Smart, DJ Draper, you know, guys all over the court just hustling, playing well, and I love watching this UNT basketball team, that's for sure.
Let me ask you, I know you're from Houston, are you thankful Carmelo's maybe gone from Houston?
No, I'm actually not. I really think that they're giving Melo a hard time. I mean, yeah, he's coming off the bench. He might not be the offensive threat that he once was, but I mean, he gets his good quality minutes coming off the bench, and his defense has improved. I mean, you can see it. He's out here hustling, doing a little bit more than he was in Oklahoma City. So I don't know. I think they're giving Melo a hard time out there.
You had another one?
Oh, yeah, I have a whole lot here. But going to my next one, how about the 2 guys out in L.A.? I'm thankful for Melvin Gordon and Todd Gurley. They both moved over to LA last season, and these 2 guys are just absolutely spectacular. Both got drafted in the first round back in 2015, and Todd Gurley last season led the league in scrimmage yards and touchdowns. What is he doing this year? You know, he's going for the repeat, and he's doing it by a long shot. And Melvin Gordon is just a special player. He was my favorite guy coming out of that draft after that spectacular season out there in Wisconsin. He did have that single game rushing record that was been held by, I think it was like Barry Sanders or something, and then literally 2 days later, I think Samaje Perine goes and breaks it up against Kansas. But anyways, Todd Gurley and Melvin Gordon have made LA both LA teams super exciting to watch, and I think there's a whole lot left to come out of these guys. Melvin Gordon still playing on his rookie contract. Todd Gurley got that huge deal, so he's kind of licking his chops out there, especially with his wide receiver type receiving skills, and he can also run the ball between the tackles. He's a special guy.
No, love that pick. Todd Gurley's been great. So, but last thing I'm thankful for, sticking with UNT, that Mean Green soccer team. I mean, there we go, the second straight Conference USA title this year.
With the current coach.
Never. I mean, they
never had a losing season.
Never had, yeah. And I mean, what has it been 10 years since we've had a home conference game loss at home this year? So I mean, they're just absolutely fantastic. They won 3 straight games in the tournament, not the NCAA tournament, but the Conference USA tournament title, beating Rice, Louisiana Tech, and Southern Miss, finishing the season 15-2-3. So I think it's great that the women's soccer team is still doing good, still being great competitively, and it was a tough loss to Texas A&M, but really thankful for what they've been able to do this year.
You got more on your list?
I have another one, but I'm going to go ahead and skip to this one because I know Shaji's going to love this. I am thankful for the mediocrity of the NFC East. Yeah. And I say that because...
Are the Cowboys in the NFC East?
They are.
They are?
Yeah, so it's the Dallas Cowboys, the Washington Redskins, who are number 1, 6-3. Dallas Cowboys are only 2 games back. And they just had defeated Philly. Philly, the defending champs, probably a one-hit wonder. I don't think Philly can probably keep doing that. But you can win this division at 9-7, and which is Jason Garrett's specialty. That's why he had that big grin on his face, because he's like, man, I'm going to get to keep my job, even though I'm going to go 9-7, or 8-8 could possibly win the division.
Yeah, already.
But Cowboys are 2 games back. There's a big possibility that they can capture the division. So I'm thankful for the mediocrity of the NFC East.
You might want to be careful when you go back to the control room after we're done with this block.
I think they're going to like it. I think they liked it.
We'll find out. I just want to say that I am extremely thankful for everybody on this show and everybody behind the scenes. I have cherished you all. These 4 years have been absolutely amazing. The work everybody does here does not go unnoticed, so I'm very thankful for everybody on this show. Don't go anywhere. We've got more Sports Zone right after this.
It's fine that other people like you. It's more important that you like yourself. And I'm comfortable with every part of me. Meals on Wheels coming to my door as someone who's housebound assures me that I'm not forgotten. They care that I'm okay. My name is Asha Ida Bell. America, let's do lunch.
Drop off a hot meal and say hello. Volunteer by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
I rescued Toast from a shelter in 2011. I love Toast because she's a lazy diva. Toast does whatever she wants, obviously. She's sleeping right now. She's an epic snuggler. She's so comforting. She's so loving. Toast makes me laugh. When I walked into the shelter, I knew right then that she was special.
So there you are, shuffling through a stack of resumes and you come to mine. This is it, first impression, my way in. But here's the thing, can my resume show you how I truly stand out? Can one piece of paper really tell you my whole story? Like that I was studying, going to night school while working 2 jobs just to help my parents pay for groceries. Or how anytime there was an opportunity, I was the first one to step up. Because I wasn't gonna let my life, my circumstances dictate who I was gonna become. And all of that determination, the commitment, the drive, that's me. And that's something you just can't put on paper. Look beyond the resume and discover new ways to develop great talent, like me.
Well, I'm not sure if you could tell by us doing a whole block based on what we're thankful for, but Thanksgiving is actually coming up pretty soon here. Here to share their favorite Thanksgiving sports memories is Caleb and Jack. Guys?
Yeah, Thanksgiving and sports kind of go hand in hand, so we're going to look at the top 5 moments, starting with my number 5. You ready, Jack?
I'm ready for it.
All right, my number 5. It's not even really a play. It's more of a blooper. It's the notorious butt fumble, as you can see, by Mark Sanchez in 2012. Kind of the beginning of the end for Mark Sanchez and the Jets. Mark Sanchez runs right into his own guard. Why? How? We don't know. To this day, it's been 6 years. We don't know. But it happened, and it kind of ended the Jets. So it's an all-time great, even not even including Thanksgiving. It's just a hilarious moment in sports. I think you can agree, Jack.
Oh, of course, I can totally agree with it. You know, I love Mark Sanchez. He's my guy, but you know, definitely running into some dude's booty, it made my day. But I'm gonna go back to 1998.
Sure.
Back to when the Detroit Lions played the Pittsburgh Steelers. 1998, my favorite year of all time, because that was when I was born. That had to be it. So the game was tied 16-16 going into overtime. You know, Jerome Bettis, coin flip. He calls head, but referee Phil Luckett, he definitely heard him say tails. So you know you have this weird moment where Jerome Bettis doesn't know what's going on. The Detroit Lions don't going on. Heck, even Phil Luckett didn't even know what was going on. It was all mass confusion. Detroit gets the ball. Detroit goes down the field. They kick a 42-yarder and they win the game. Nobody really knows what really happened that game, but you know it was definitely one of those where it was just one of those confusing moments that had to be on the list.
For sure. And a great throwback. I'm going to throw it back even a little bit further to 1993 to the Dallas Cowboys versus the Miami Dolphins in the snowed out Texas Stadium. For another really blooper. I'm still not to my plays yet. Next, I promise. But this is Leon Lett back in 1993, the snow game. The Cowboys are up. At the very end of the game, they block a field goal, and what do you know? Leon Lett runs in, touches the football again. Another play that we don't know why it happened. It just kind of did. And sure enough, the Dolphins pick it up. They kick another field goal. They win the game. Now, it would just kind of be another week for the Cowboys. Back then, it was devastating. But the good thing that happened was the Cowboys went undefeated the rest of the season, won the Super Bowl. Classic year for them. But this play was probably maybe the most infamous of all.
It's definitely iconic. Leon Lett. Every time you talk about Leon Lett, some goofy thing he did. But you know, I'm gonna go with the butt fumble at 4. You know, I had to put it on 4. Yeah, you know, Thanksgiving. You know, there's only a handful of plays you can do, so we're both gonna have a couple of them. But you know, it was in 2012, Jets Patriots. You know, Mark Sanchez, the play was busted from the beginning. You knew something goofy was gonna happen. Then he runs straight into Brandon Moore's booty. You know, he just falls to the ground. He coughs up the ball. He definitely runs it back for a touchdown. You know. In 52 seconds, the Patriots scored 3 times on 3 different fumbles. It was just one of those where kind of cemented that the Jets were the laughing stock. You know, unfortunately, that was Mark Sanchez's career. You know, he came to the Cowboys, threw 3 interceptions. I still love you, Mark, but you know, when your career is highlighted by steroids and butt fumbles, that's just how it goes.
Tragic, but you know, there you go. But I'm gonna take it for my number 3 play. I'm gonna take it to college football. 2011, Texas A&M, a classic rivalry, used to be Thanksgiving tradition. Now we don't see it anymore. But the good thing is, the last time we saw it, Justin Tucker really put his name out there for the world, kicking the game-winning field goal to beat A&M in that last game 7 years ago that they played. It was a great moment for Texas sports, Texas football. Obviously, a classic program, and Justin Tucker now. Maybe the best kicker in NFL history, but this was his start. Back in college, before he even got to the Ravens, this was the first time that people really knew who Justin Tucker was.
Exactly. I mean, I remember Thanksgiving 2011. I was watching that game. I was a diehard A&M fan. Justin Tucker made it, man. I was mad. I hate Texas. I always will. But you know, going to my number 3, mine's a little bit of a throwback. You know, most of y'all youngins, us youngins, probably don't know what it is. But you know, the legend of Clint Longley. You go back to 1973. You know, he's from Abilene Christian great. He goes out there, Roger Staubach gets absolutely KO'd. He's knocked out. They're losing 16-3. About a minute and a half left in the game, you know, and then Clint Longley goes, throws 200 some odd yards, 2 touchdowns, leads the Cowboys to a 24-23 lead. Most youngins don't know who he is, but you know, diehard Cowboy fans will always know.
For sure. Speaking of great quarterbacks, maybe Clint Longley isn't on that list all time, but I've got an all-timer at my number 2 spot. It's Peyton Manning back in 2004, throwing 6 touchdowns against the Lions, the second most all-time on Thanksgiving. But the crazy thing is, he did it in 3 quarters. It was like Steph Curry on a football field. Just dominated, didn't even need the 4th quarter. 6 touchdowns, 3 quarters, an amazing performance. And it's part of why Peyton Manning, obviously, one of the best all time.
I know, honestly, I wish Peyton Manning was on my fantasy football team last week. It really would have helped me. I took the hard loss this week. But you know, for my number 2, I'm going to Randy Moss. You know, as being a Cowboys fan that I am, I wanted Jerry to draft him. Just wanted to chalk it up on the board of the Jerry mistakes list. You know, he goes out, wants to prove something, goes out there, catches 3 balls for 163 yards. And all 3 catches were touchdowns. So, you know, it was definitely Randy Moss saying, hey, Jerry, you know, you messed up. You should have drafted me. But, you know, Dante Culpepper, I love him. Randy Moss, I love him. It was just one of those. As a Cowboys fan, you hate it.
For sure, and you should keep those highlights rolling because that's actually my #1 play of all time on Thanksgiving. Randy Moss, just an insane performance, like you said, 3 catches, 3 touchdowns. The Cowboys could have had him at #8. He could have been that bridge between Michael Irvin and Des Bryant, but instead we have that huge gap of weird wide receiver tries. Keyshawn Johnson, a bunch of random stuff happened. Could have been Randy Moss, but instead he creates that legend with the Vikings, again with the Patriots, and now just last year joined the Hall of Fame. He's an all-time great, and just like Justin Tucker, that was that first game for him, really.
Definitely, I wouldn't, as you said, I would have loved to have Randy Moss, but I'm going with Leon Lett at #1. Definitely, as a Cowboys fan, Cowboys always play on Thanksgiving. It's an American tradition, but Leon Lett, he was terrible. He had it. Don Shula getting the win. It's unfortunate, but just how it goes. Yep. Well, that's all we have for our top Thanksgiving moments. Josh, back to you.
Definitely a lot of amazing football moments on Thanksgiving. That's all the time we have today, though. A very quick happy birthday to our director, Alex Espinoza, 4-year Sports Zone veteran. He's telling me to wrap it up, so that's all the time we have today. Join us next week for an hour-long finale. We'll see you then.